I think that's important that you guys, what you want to be, and kind of know the direction and your goals and how you want to communicate with your core group of customers. So I think that's good. I think that every business owner, I mean, even ourselves, like between my brother and I'm the one who wants to have this national like dominance. Well, not so much in snow removal. I mean, it's just our 100-mile radius is like insanity, but
Yeah.
but for us, it's the robotic lawn mowers, and now we're in the robotic snow clearing machines.
Okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, so for that we do. But so did you guys? I mean, as you guys were kids, what was the aha moment where you were like, "Weather, this is what we want to do"?
For me, okay, you go ahead, JT.
Oh, okay. For me, honestly, so I mean, every kid obviously has like that. At least I think I shouldn't say every kid, but especially boys have that moment where obviously they always want to be like the NBA superstar. So I grew up watching Reggie Miller play in the Pacers. So there was a time in my life where I was like, yeah, I want to be Reggie Miller. I'm 8 years old. But no, honestly though, when I was, and I don't remember this, but my parents and grandparents always tell me we had a meteorologist in the Indy market called Bob. His name was Bob Gregory, and he was kind of, when I was growing up, was kind of the meteorologist to turn to, especially for winter storms. He loved forecasting winter storms. Really good guy, really nice guy. Anyways, and my grandparents always like, and my parents were always like, I can remember us having Bob Gregory on, and you're like 4 years old pointing at the TV being like, I want to do that. And so that's kind of what I, from kind of the start, really wanted to be, other than just obviously that phase of wanting to be a professional athlete. But so I can't really remember of time where I can legitimately say there was anything else I really wanted to pursue. When I was into my teen years, mid to late teens, when I first started storm chasing, that's when, like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with any of like Reed Timmer or Sean Casey or those guys who are like big time storm chasers.
Reed Timmer.
That's, and it's like, I was like, oh, I want to storm chase. Like, that's what I want my career to be. And it's not impossible to make that your career, but it's darn hard. And after a few years of doing that and pursuing that heavily, it was just like, to me, is like, it just made sense to get a degree and then make it my profession to be a meteorologist in general, not necessarily a storm chaser. And so, I mean, really, since I can remember, and since I really can't remember, I guess I've wanted to be a meteorologist and be involved in the weather somehow.
Awesome.
I had like a very defining moment when I did. So of course, being in Indiana, the Indy 500 is huge around here. So we have a cookout at my grandparents' house, which is only a few minutes away from the track, every year. And in 2004, we were down there for the race. And, that was back when they had a pool and stuff before we ripped it out. But we were playing in the pool. I was, I don't know, like 8, 9 at the time. And, it started to like rain on us, and we didn't care because we were in the pool. We were kids. And then it started like hailing in the pool on us. And apparently nobody was watching the weather like responsible adults. And they were just listening to the race instead. And so we were kind of oblivious. And so it started hailing. We got out of the pool. We made it into the garage. And all of a sudden it was pitch black outside. And they started like shoving us into the bathtub, throwing comforters and pillows on us. And like there was a dog and a cat in there, and they hated each other. And it was like all my cousins, my aunts and uncles. Like, it was a big cookout. And here we all were like squished in this bathroom, except for my grandpa, and my dad, and my uncle, who stood in the living room by the door and watched as a tornado came down and ripped right through the backyard. And it ended up destroying the pool that we were in, and like uprooting like 16 trees, and took a truck shell that we had laying out there under bricks and threw it like 500 yards under some trees in the woods. And so it did a lot of damage. Luckily, no damage to the house. We were all fine. But at that moment, it took two directions for me and my cousins and my sister. So my sister's also a meteorologist. We're twins. And
Really?
yeah. And my sister and I at that moment were like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. Like, I want to know more about that. We even like wrote a letter to the newspaper about it, and they published it on their front page. It was the Hendricks County Flyer. And anyways, my cousins were terrified and still are terrified of storms after that. But for
the cousins.
but for my sister and I, it was like, oh my gosh, that's so cool. I want to know more about that. So that was kind of like our defining moment. I wasn't watching anybody on TV. I mean, we did watch later, several years later, like Storm Chasers on TV a lot, and thought that was really cool. But I didn't really have like a specific person. It was more of an event that drove me into this profession.
And it's actually crazy that event drove two people into that profession.
Right.
So your sister, is she in like the same type of like private setup like you guys are at, or is she like doing TV or radio,
No, she's actually right now working for, she has worked for the National Weather Service. Right now she's working for the Indiana Department of Homeland Security and the Emergency Operations Center.
Okay.
And so she's in charge of logistics there. So she's heavily involved in COVID and distributing PPE across the state and stuff like that right now. Not as much meteorology as she would really like to be doing right now, but she's looking to get back into it.
I have to tell you guys, speaking of National Weather Service, my brother gets mad at me because, obviously you guys are a forecaster, but I always read the National Weather Service technical discussion. So you guys send a forecast and then I read the technical discussion and I'll be like, I don't know, what the European model has us for like, 17 inches of snow. And John will be like, why are you still trying to forecast our own snow removal? But
we read those too, the technical discussions, but partly because, it's always good to have reinforcement. Like, okay, like good, they saw that too, and it's not going to be, this situation is going to be something different or whatever. But also because we like to nerd out and like the technical, like meteorologists are very nerdy people. Okay.
Yeah.
We look at maps and data all day. What was that?
When you said they're very nerdy people, she looked at me and I was like, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not afraid to admit it. But we look at maps and numbers all day. So what else can you say really? But, so I lost my train of thought on that one.
Well, that was my fault because
it was your thing. Yeah,
this was my rabbit hole with the technical forecast discussion. So
Oh yeah, we're all over those too, and especially all of them really across the region that we forecast for. But we like the kind of the backup on the thoughts there, but also sometimes they have access to private data that we don't too. Like Northern Illinois, we really hate that there's no publicly available data for road temperatures in Illinois.
Yeah.
There is everywhere else that we service, but Northern Illinois, you can't find it. It's all privatized. So
yeah, we have a saying at Langton Group that 27 degrees trumps all. And what that really means is we don't care what pavement temperatures are. You could have 25-degree pavement temperatures. If it's 27 air temperature, you'll ice, Well,
that's good to note because people ask us all the time, JT is in that area, like I said, and, they're like, well, do you think this will stick to roads? And you're like, I have no idea what your road temperatures are right now. And they're like, well, we don't either. Or some of them say they have like the laser things and they go out and check and stuff like that. But obviously it varies. But, and I mean, it's obviously more of a concern. It's usually what they're asking when it's like right closer to freezing or like 30 to 32 degrees. And generally at that point, friction from the tires is going to keep things warmer. So, but yeah, it's frustrating not having that data available out there.
Yeah, we know that it's something we've commented on because you can go on all those different sites and see all this, and Illinois is like a dead spot. And but like I said, like we have a test lot that is outside our office that we don't even let anybody drive on, and so that we can be testing and taking pavement temperatures. And but like I said, it never makes a difference. Like, even this snow that we had today, I mean, JP, you know what we just dealt with, and we were like kind of like, okay, is it going to get down to 27? We were like, no, 31. Okay, then it's going to all melt on the roads anyways. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
I mean, that's truly like what we've realized, you know.
That's really good information to know. I mean, it's
really.
not something that meteorologists can just, go on to. We're not physically out there doing, in the field when you guys are during the storm. So we actually love it when people pass along information like that to us. Like, client could say, well, it's starting to stick to the roads. It wasn't supposed to stick to the roads for another hour or something like that. And, we don't take that as, like a harsh comment or anything. It's okay. Well, let me look at this real quick and, see what's going on, see if it's going to make any changes or whatever. And it's good for us to know those things. So we appreciate the comments when we get feedback, like from the field.
Yeah. I mean, I think anybody that's been in the industry for a long time, I mean, you start to realize, okay, snowflake size makes a difference, right? Because bigger flake, it just hits and it takes longer to melt. Wind makes a difference. Shading makes a difference. I mean, even, what direction a building is in will tell you how much snow you're going to shovel in the beginning of the season and the end, but yeah, no, I mean, I'll tell you what, if you guys are ever like wondering, send us an email. We love to communicate this stuff back and forth.
Okay.
That'd be awesome because the road temperatures are, especially with these last year, it felt like it was all year. Like I felt like last year, because usually you get to a point where it's cold enough, it doesn't matter. And last year, it was just like all year, I felt like, man, I'm still trying to figure out if these road temperatures are going to be too cold or too warm, rather, for snow to stick. And so, it's. Well, and even for us, even like concrete surfaces, like asphalt surfaces are warm. Right.
Concrete,
Yeah.
So it's like,
oh boy, are we going to get into specific heat capacities?
Yes. Well, exactly. And we we are the type of company that we literally label our concrete lots to our asphalt lots so that we know which ones, and then we actually use different amounts of chloride based on those pavements.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
Because we'll need more chloride on a concrete lot than a asphalt lot.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it makes complete sense. I mean, like I said, we're kind of those nerdy individuals who.
Here is how nerdy we are. We're walking along the beach in Florida, and I don't know. I think we got on to how hot the
really
sand was or something like that. And literally, as we're walking along the beach on vacation, we're chatting about specific heat capacity of sand and parking lots and all this different stuff. And we're like, are we really talking about this on vacation? Like, are we really that nerdy? So that's my nerdiest moment, probably, maybe. I don't know. Probably not.
Yeah, well, so you don't have to feel too bad. I'm the guy that I actually, for the longest time, wanted to get financial backers to manufacture a shingle that had the same albedo rate as snow does. Because I had this thought process that with climate change and everything happening with global warming, I was like, if we could just absorb less heat on roofs and not have it where it's blinding our airplanes, but just make it the same.
The reflective property would be the big thing there.
Yeah. So to get it to be the same as snow on a roof, it would make less heat on a roof and would help the environment. And I would tell people this, and they're like, do you ever sleep? Like, where do you come up with these stupid ideas? And I'm like, when I'm in a plow truck for 50 hours, all I think about is this kind of stupidity.